when Mr. Williams asked us to come down and talk about some situations, and Tim, if you would, can you, I want to pass around a packet here that you might be able to go, I think you may have already had one, some of the commissioners,
I think all the commissioners have received it.
received one. If you don't have one, glad to hand one out to you. I'll wait till he gets to pass them out, that way I can better explain it to you. Is that it? Thank you. All right, back in 2009, the General Assembly passed the Tennessee Clean Energy Future Act of 2009. And what that did, that actually authorized the state fire marshal's office to adopt a statewide residential building and energy code. It actually gave local governments three options. One option was to use the state permits and inspections, and what that is, we contract with people like Mr. Jacobs does on the electrical. We would contract with people on the building code side. Or the local exemption, which would be like the city of Lawrenceburg does their own code enforcement, and they have their own in-house department, and they budget for that and all that. Or they opt out. And you all in the past have taken the opt-out option. With that, the state permits and inspections, and you roughly can see here, it depends on the total construction cost fee, what the permit is. It starts, $100 on up to, it depends on how big the house is, how big the permit would be. But if you're looking at a $200,000 home, cost-wise, the permit would be $450. And that's then $100 for the slab, and then $100 for the plumbing and mechanical inspection. And the state actually contracts with local issue agents. If you all were decided to get in the program and you wanted us to do it for you, we could contract with you all to be an issue agent here locally, and you can put it in your register of deeds office, your county clerk's office, the county executive's office, or wherever you all decided you wanted to put it at. Permits can also be bought on homebuilding.tn.gov on the internet. The state, like I said, contracts with inspectors. There's no revenue that's kept locally except $15 for each permit that the issue agent retains. Basically, what it does also, you all get the inspections. The county government doesn't cost you all anything to actually have this program implemented. The permit that the person buys is what's paying for the inspections. So it's no cost to the local government to have this. The contractors will schedule the inspections with the state, and the state pays the inspectors. One thing that you also can do, and in the meeting we had that day, I'm actually, I think his gentleman was named Don Nelson, that's been doing some inspections. Ken. If he wanted to become a contractor for us, I'd be more glad to give him a contract and let him do the inspections down here. That way it's somebody here locally that would be doing them for you all. Roughly for a $450 permit for a $100,000 home, you're looking at about $2.14 a month payment on addition to your payment. That $2.14 is going to make sure that the house is built sound. It's making sure it's going to be operational, and make sure it's going to be safe, and it's going to make sure that hopefully it's going to last that 30-year mortgage. But you're going to have some upkeep on it. But a lot of times when it's not built to codes, it could be within 5 years you got problems as far as your floors and your roofs and a lot of other things. But, that's going to be like an insurance policy, having someone, a set of eyes looking at that home. The state actually, right now, we've adopted the 2009 residential code. We're in the process of going to the 2009 energy code, but right now we got the 2006 Energy Code adopted. With that permit, you get 3 inspections, and sometimes there's 4, there's one free one built in. You get a foundation, a rough end, and a final. And on the mechanical side, that mechanical and plumbing is done at the same time that the rough end is being done. The foundation inspection is done within 1 business day of request, and all other inspections are within 3 business days of request. There's no requirement to submit any type of plans for these 1 and 2 family dwellings. 1 and 2 family dwellings are not required to have sprinklers. So that's if someone thinks they gotta be sprinkled, they don't have to be. Townhouses do not have to be sprinkled, but they have to be separated by a 2-hour firewall. And everything else above that, it's gonna be commercial code, but residential, like compartments and stuff like that, that's when the sprinkler system stuff coming into play, but that doesn't pertain to this. This here is only 1 and 2 family dwellings and additions over 30 square foot. No pole barns, no barns, don't have to have permits on that. It's only for 1 and 2 family dwellings and additions to 1 and 2 family dwellings. The contractors, they must be state licensed contractors. Exception, a homeowner may build their own home, but not more than once every 2 years. Subcontractors must be licensed if work is valued at $25,000 or more. The benefits, it establishes a minimum construction standard, making homes safer and more energy efficient. It levels the playing field for contractors. It allows residents and jurisdictions to take advantage of government construction programs that require inspections, for certificate of occupancy. And residents in opt-out jurisdictions may not have these programs. A certificate of occupancy is issued, making it easier to close on a mortgage. The permit is not required for a detached garage, a shed, or non-residential structure. So if you got a garage that's detached, it don't require a permit. If it's attached, it would require a permit. Like I said, a shed or barn or something like that doesn't require one. And like I said, the 30 square foot additions, anything over that, it has to be a permit. And then on addition, the whole house does not have to be brought up to code. Whatever the addition part is have to be brought up to code. So if you own a 1,500 square foot home and you want to put a 200 square foot addition on it, the 200 square foot would be the only thing that would have to be brought to code. The rest of it would be left alone.
Just grandfather.
Yeah. Inspection for building, mechanical, and plumbing systems would be required. The local exemption, and that's like I said, it's like the city of Lawrenceburg. They have their own code enforcement department. They've adopted the code. They have to be within 7 years of what's most published edition. Issues the permits locally, and they retain the revenue. A lot of times, the local jurisdiction, the money coming in, a lot of times doesn't offset the revenue, or the revenue coming in doesn't offset the operational cost. So that there's tax dollars that have to be put back into it to offset that. And the reason I understand that, I served 20 years on the county commission where I live in Rutherford County. I retired as 29 years as the chief over there at the fire department, and 20 years as the county commissioner, so I understand, the local side of the situation. Basically, on the local exemption, the locals get it audited every 3 years, and we come in and make sure that they're doing the codes, the way they're doing it, they're inspecting the stuff the way they're supposed to be inspecting it. They've got the correct codes adopted. The inspectors are certified. Making sure they're meeting all the laws and the rules that we have. Or a local exempt jurisdiction. Let's say if y'all wanted to be an exempt jurisdiction, have your own. you could contract with someone, instead of having to hire someone, you could contract with them to be the inspector, but they would still have to have all the operational costs as far as the permits and all that. Opt-out, there's no building codes, there's no inspections, there's no permits, there's no COs. You're unable to use the government loans like the THDA, grant money. Basically, buyer beware. To opt out, it's got to be by 2/3 vote to opt out. You got to have 2/3 vote to opt out. If you don't have the 2/3 vote, you're in. So it depends on, I know when I was commissioner, we had 21, so the super majority, it takes 14 to have the super majority. 11 would be the majority, but the 14 would be the super majority. So it has to be a super majority to opt out. And if you do that, you notify the state fire marshal of the action. And every election cycle, every 4 years, you have to opt out again within 180 days of the additional benefits. It ensures better structures, giving firefighters and first responders more time to get into help and residents more time to get out. It actually gives you 15 points on your 3-star program grants. It gives you 15 additional points by having codes, and that has caused some local jurisdictions to not get the 3-star grants because they didn't have the points to get to it, and that 15 points cost it. It counts towards the ISO rating, and ISO is the insurance services. It counts points towards that to help better lower your ISO rating. FEMA, it benefits and it can improve. Sometimes if you have a natural disaster come through, a lot of things that FEMA's going to want to know, have you got codes? I know I just got deployed. I went to Louisiana for 12 days at the request of their governor and our governor, and we went down and so if you have a disaster, tornadoes, we're not going to have a flood like that hopefully, but a tornado come through, FEMA's going to know if you got codes, and sometimes it helps you in those cases. Like I said, you may utilize government programs like the USDA and the THDA. I think you all right now are maybe working through a THDA grant on some things here. Can make getting loans easier. Flood insurance, the flood insurance can actually triple so by not having codes. And like I said earlier, it's no overhead to local government. If you all opt in and have a contract person that would be that we would contract with, it wouldn't cost the local government here a dime to implement this. The permits would pay for the inspections, and you all would retain $15 a permit as a revenue source as an issue agent. That's about all I got on the handout.